Hey folks, so I just spent the last few days on a business trip for the first time with the Remarkable Paper Pro. This device was sent to me by Remarkable based on my request. I've been trying to find a solution for a problem that I have, and I believe I've just found it. So I can highly recommend the Remarkable Paper Remarkable Paper Pro or the Remarkable 2 based on a certain set of conditions that may or may not apply to you. Now, I'm not an artist, so I can't speak to anything about art or sketching, nothing. I'm terrible, you don't want to see it. But I can talk to you about if you're a traveling professional, or even if you don't travel, if you're a business person and you deal with a lot of people, you deal with a lot of accounts, maybe you're in customer success, you're a sales professional like me, or a manager where you can manage a lot of people or manage a lot of accounts. Something like this is going to be great for your professional life, in my opinion. And that's because when you have a device like this, you don't have to rely on paper anymore. And you get a true paper-like handwriting experience with the option to tag and convert your handwriting into written text. You can do some shapes as well, and it will automatically detect those shapes. I'll show you in a moment. This has been I'm not yet ready to say it's been a life changer, but when I make my next video on this after a few more months of use, I will be very surprised if I don't consider this a must-have, especially for someone in my position as a sales professional. But a little bit more about me just so you understand the situation. I am both a sales professional and a teacher. I teach at a university locally. I've been doing it for over 10 years, but then I also teach internationally online. So I have a lot of personalities and customers I have to work with between my day job and my night job. So having a device that can fit into that lifestyle is critical. Now they sent me the Paper Pro, but the reason I picked up the Remarkable 2 is I want to know how the differences would matter for me. And truly they don't matter all that much, but there's actually one key thing, one key reason why I prefer the Paper Pro, and then a bunch of other reasons why I prefer the Paper Pro. And if someone in my position, again, a sales professional that travels, if he or she were to ask me which one, I would say get the Paper Pro. It's worth the extra $200 because of that key reason. But before I get into all of that, I'd like to give you a tour of this device so you can understand what we're working with. And then as I show you the device, I'm going to show it to you under the context of how I fit it into my work routine so far. I imagine this will change or adjust a little bit and probably get better. Because every device, they're kind of fun, right? You get to see all the new things you get to do, like integrating with OneDrive or Google Drive, all those things. I haven't even started doing that yet. I didn't have a lot of time before my business trip when I got this. So I pretty much just set it up, got their service all set up, and then made a couple of notes and took off for the airport. So yeah, a lot more to share down the road, but I wanted to at least get us started here with this. Okay, so the device. I love this clasp. It is subtle, but super important. So you have a leather case with a very nice branding, Remarkable up here. You can barely see it unless the light's reflecting on it, if that's important to you. Otherwise, it blends in. Now, this clasp is magnetic. And you might be thinking, big whoop, it's magnetic on the back too. But the whoop here is that if you just keep your pen here, which is great, the pen just snaps on, it's magnetic, it's great. If you just keep it here, it's probably not going to fall off. If you're a little worried that it might, you have a clasp. One thing that I noticed is that when I was sliding this into my travel bag, if I put it in this way, so not perfectly straight, the pen would move. But now with the clasp, that's not going to happen. So this clasp was, if I'm going to guess, I would say the people who designed this case used this product. And that's how they knew you needed to have a clasp on there. And that's not here on the paper too, but that is not the big reason, okay? All right, so beautiful leather case. You have a really nice thin design overall, even with the case. This is your power button. There's a ribbing that goes along the entire outside. You can see it on this side too. And you have a USB-C port to charge the device. It comes with a USB-C port, but you can use, whatever you need. I didn't even bother packing a travel charger for this because it has amazing battery life. I used it a lot over the last 3 days as I've been traveling, and I'm only down 15% or so. Okay, when you open it up, this part is a nice felt material to protect the screen. You can leave it open or you can fold it under. I did both. I had it folded under most of the time because when I was sitting and taking notes, I wanted to occupy as little space as possible, sitting in front of a customer or when I was on the plane, want to use as little space as possible. I don't even like to whip out my 15-inch MacBook Air on a plane. But when I was at my own desk in my hotel, and then also when I spent time in the hotel lobby, I left this side open. So on the left side of my lap, this was here. Now, the reason I did this is the Remarkable, it doesn't have access to the internet for browsing or for doing research on, your favorite AI engine. So I had to have my phone open. I'd have my phone open, I'd do my research, and then I would copy the notes that I thought were important. So there's a bit of redundancy that is just innate if you do that type of research and note taking. But, there's also a benefit there. I had to read what was available, decide what was important, and then put it into the notebook. So that gave me a chance to understand, to learn, possibly understand, at least process it, and then put it into my own words in such a way that I would remember it. And frankly, this one particular moment, I did not have to open my Remarkable to go through my notes, to have the conversation I needed to have with this executive, because I had taken the time to write it down rather than just doing a copy paste and saying, hey, look, I took my notes. That may sound a little bit bizarre. If you're in sales, you understand there is so much information out there about our customers, and we want to be not just about the customers, but also about economics, what's going on in the world from a macroeconomic standpoint. And you want to make sure that you kind of capture the most important things, and you might recite 0.5% of what you read. It all depends on the questions that you ask and where the conversation goes. Okay, lesson in sales is over. The Remarkable itself, here you go. It does attach magnetically. You'll notice these little feet indents because there are little feet to match those indents. This device is so freaking premium. This is one of the most premium devices I've ever owned. It's right up there with all of Apple's products, all their Pro products. Feels amazing, has that nice, cool metal touch to it. Beautiful branding, great color scheme overall. Huge fan of their design. Now, when you have it open, I'm gonna go ahead and type in my password here without your knowledge. You're presented with a very simple interface. You can see your battery life, and if you swipe down, you can see a little bit more, your SSID. Here's my battery, 86%. And you can do screen sharing with this button or enter airplane mode. And then there's a backlight you can enable as well. It's not automatic, so you just choose when to turn it on and what level you want it to. I actually didn't use it except for when I was on the plane for a few minutes. I had to write something down. So super good to go. This interface is as easy as it gets. If you ever used File Manager in Windows, it's not called File Manager anymore, I don't think. Or maybe that is the new one. Anyway, File Explorer is what it's called now. But File Manager, back in the day, you just have folders and notebooks. But you have different types of notebooks, and you can tag these notebooks as well, and then you can search through your tags. There's a very simple menu on the left-hand side that'll let you do some filtering, access your favorites, go to those tags, as I mentioned, and then the integrations piece. I have not set these up yet, so in my next video about this, I'll talk about that. You also can access anything you've deleted in your trash for a period of time and then enter your more broader settings. It's not worth showing you those settings. It's really just signing into their service for synchronization. So you connect your email address to it, and it's either enabled or disabled. Yeah, your Wi-Fi. And then, well, there's one thing. There's the battery savings. So you can set the Remarkable to turn off or go into standby rather automatically in increments of 10, 20, or 60 minutes. I have it set to 20, which is the default. It's worked fine for me. Okay. So you have folders. I've renamed my folders. They're not called Work 1, Work 2. I have, as I mentioned, multiple jobs in a sense between the teaching and the sales job. So I just wanted to hide my personal information, so I renamed those. If you were to click on those folders, it would take you into whatever files I had there. And you can search as well, by the way, down here, or you can press this button to create a new notebook. You can create a new folder, notebook, or just a quick sheet. So it's like, I want to quickly write something down. I don't want to go through the time to name it and pick my template. Just give me something quick. You can do that right here with Quick Sheet. Now for the notebook, once you've named it, right? That's supposed to say named. One thing you may have to get used to is the refresh rate on an e-ink display, but if you're watching this, you probably already know what that is. Okay, so here you can choose your templates. Now the templates you've used most recently will show up here, but there are many, 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 many more. And not only are there more, they're sorted for you. So if you're more of the creative type, whether it's music or calligraphy, guitar chords, that's pretty cool. I play guitar, but I can't read chords. I read tabs. You have those grid lines. So if you're more in the engineering, so I went to engineering school when I was in college. I mean, I really wish I had something like this because the amount of freaking green paper that I owned that was grid paper, oh my gosh, it was so much. And I would just take regular notes on it, not just sketches, because then I would only have to carry one, and then they were hard to read, and it was a pain. Okay, I mostly use lines for the type of job that I do now, and I've been going between the lined medium and the lined small. I have small handwriting. I think that means I'm insane. So the medium, well, I'll just show you. When I do medium, I gravitate towards the middle. Right now I'm forcing myself to not do it in the middle, right? Versus right on the line. Here you can see where the line is. If I were to use the other style, so let me just change the template to small. I get closer to the line just naturally, but then my letters are smaller, and it probably will have more of an impact on my wrist if I continue to do it this way, but so far it hasn't. I just don't use it all that much. And not writing that much stuff down at once. But if I were in college like I used to, and I used to write down almost word for word what the prof said because I wasn't smart enough to understand what he said, then yeah, my wrist would probably hurt. But anyway, as you saw, you can change the template so that if you're not happy with what you chose, but you've already started writing things, you don't have to delete your notebook and your note page. Notebook? I don't know, the note, and then start over. You can just create another template. And there's something else in here too, and that's layering. You can create a second layer. You can move those layers up and down. And when you have a second layer, what you can then do is write over what you have, right? So there's a circle. And just to show you, I'm going to do another shape. These shapes will correct automatically so that they're perfect. And I think that's awesome. So now if I go into my layers and I move them around, I guess I didn't do anything that you would be able to really discern. Let me change the color. But you'll be able to see the difference. So the Remarkable Paper Pro has color. And that's, for me, the big delta here. I like to use different colors to highlight things that are important or to stress things or to, if maybe my manager gave me a note, boss said to call the CIO tomorrow. I want that to stand out amongst all the other things that I've written down. But anyhow, if I were to take that and move it, see how fast this is. I'm going to put it right through here so you can see the difference. Okay, now I changed the layer order. You can see where that line is relative to the text. So that's the idea with layers. If you're an artist, you're going to use that way more than me, and you'll have way more fun things to say. Okay, so I have a weird use case that I'm happy to share with you. When I play video games, I've been doing this since I was a kid. If the game is hard, or if it's a Metroidvania, so not hard, but okay, I just realized you may not know what a Metroidvania is. A Metroidvania is a genre of video games that blends the gameplay style of Castlevania with the gameplay style of Metroid. And you may not know what those are either, but these are games that are a bit complicated. So in order to get from one part of the map to another part of the map via a locked door or something that mimics a locked door, you'll need a new piece of equipment or a new weapon. And so anyhow, to get those things, you might have to get other things done first. Now, I noticed when I was playing this game called Alwa's Legacy that I needed a light source to get into a cave that I saw early in the game. So I write down, get a light source for this thing that's so early in the game that I may forget it ever required a light source. So now I'm paying attention. Is anyone offering a light source? And then I came across this character who required petals, like, flower petals. And I didn't know what for, so I started collecting petals. Now I know, because I've been collecting them and taking them back to this person, and now I'm getting upgrades. So I do this with a lot of my games when they're complicated. It's like, oh, remember to do this, remember to do that. Some games do a good job of putting it in the menu for you, but this game didn't. So I just made my own notes. Okay, so I want to show you this quick sheet as well. It's just kind of summarize some of the things I want to talk about today. So where I want to focus the most is in making sure you understand the use case here, because I don't think you're going to come across another remarkable video on YouTube that's like this one. Hey, look, they're all going to be probably better quality than mine, but what I think is different is how I use this device and why I think it's worth every dollar so far. I work different jobs. I have different clients. Like it's the magnitude of different notes, different types of notes I have to take. It's not even the subject matter that makes the difference for me. So it's very important. Now, if I'm in a meeting and I'm taking notes, my handwriting is not going to be good. This is as good as I can write, and you can see it gets worse over time. So I need to make quick notes and then move away. Handwriting conversion is very important for me. I can convert what I wrote, and by the way, this was perfect. I wrote UNI versus university. It converted it perfectly, even with my crappy handwriting. So I'd like to take that and eventually put it something, not this exact note, but whatever it is that I converted, I'd like to maybe put into an email. So I do a quick conversion, copy, paste. And by the way, you can convert just one thing. So I can grab my, what's this called? Scribbler thingy, and I can grab this, which says reduce latency by 40%. And I can press that, converting to English. And there it is. Reduced latency. And put it here. By 40%. Oh, it's not letting me drag it exactly where I want it. I'll have to learn why. It put it in a bullet, so I may have to figure that out, why it chose to do that. But anyway, I'm still new at this thing. But hey, that's pretty cool. Actually, I just realized. So if you remember correctly, I had written I had written it here on this side, and I had put a dash. It converted the dash to a bullet, and then when I moved it here, it put it in line with the other bullets. That's super cool. It's almost like there is another layer in here, one with bullets and one with handwriting. So that's super cool. Now, if you're wondering what reduced latency means, I'm referring to the differences. So now I'm switching subjects, by the way. Now I'm referring to the technical difference. The Remarkable 2 has a higher latency than the Remarkable Paper Pro. So when you're just doing this, the ink, not ink is the wrong word. Well, I guess it is ink, it's e-ink. The ink is writing to the screen faster than if you were using the Remarkable 2. And that's actually very important to me as well. So, okay. I love that. I love the larger screen too. You might be thinking it's not that much different, but look, it actually is, right? You get like another 1.5 inches vertically, and horizontally, you get about 1/2 inch. That's a big delta. And I wouldn't want it much bigger than this, frankly. But so I think this is a really good size. You get a larger screen, it's faster overall. I actually had a Remarkable 2 when they first came out, and I returned it because I felt it was too slow for my needs. But yeah, this is much faster. You've probably noticed that. Also, it does have color, like I mentioned. Color is very important to me. There aren't that many colors, unfortunately. There are just these 9, but it can, I think you can blend colors is something I read. So if you write, let's see, red, and then yellow. Okay, maybe not. I'd read something about it blends colors, but maybe that's in a different notepad template or something. But anyway, it doesn't have a ton of colors, but I don't need that many colors. I actually only need 2 or 3 colors, blue, red, and black, honestly. If it was just black and red or black and blue, that'd be fine too. But I use multiple colors often, especially when I'm typing and sending an email. Maybe I'm responding to something and I want to give a response to a question. So I leave the existing question that someone sent me in black. and then I put the answer or my response in a different color. So my mind is sort of wired that way. So I'd like to use multiple colors. Okay, so here's some fun features as well. I love, and this is available on the Remarkable too, by the way, how the shapes are automatically captured. So, if I'm drawing a circle, it's not going to be very good. That's just me. I'm not a good artist. But if I hold it down, now I've got a perfect circle. That's awesome. It'll do triangles as well. I don't think it does arrows, but arrows would be cool. Yeah, no arrow. You can kind of fake an arrow. You can go a straight line and then triangle. Oops. Straight line, triangle. That was a terrible triangle. Okay, one more time. I promise, one more time. Straight line, triangle. Okay, so worst, yeah, it's terrible. It's just really bad, but you get the idea. Did I mention that I suck at art? Okay, I mentioned there are built-in tablets. There are also third-party tablets templates. Templates for the screen. And I think Remarkable themselves, they have some templates that you can download or purchase. I've seen some for $2 and $5, which it really isn't a lot to pay one time if you get a template the way you like it. I haven't shown many of the different templates, but they're cool, right? So you can go here, notebook. I'll just leave it like that. There are some cool ones if you just want to plan and organize your day. Like there's a weekly planner. There are a couple of weekly planners. Let's take a look at this one. I mean, that's awesome, right? You got your weekdays have more space, your weekends have less space. That's super cool. Now, I was about to get into something that I'm not going to. I'm gonna hold off on this next topic. But anyhow, you got your week number it's week number 39, and Monday, take out the trash. That's cool. Or, maybe this is a business schedule that you have for yourself. So it's, 8 a.m. Let me change this. This is like super thick. No, that's good enough. We'll just stick with it. Okay, so 8 a.m. cold calls. All right, 9 a.m. emails. 9:30 LinkedIn. 10 a.m. workout, right? You get the idea. And if this is going to be, a routine part of your day, then you can copy it and paste it, right? So if Monday and Tuesday look the same, simple copy paste, and now I'm back on, right? So 11:30. Meeting, whatever it happens to be. Okay, so forth and so on. And then you can copy this if you wanted to, and you can add a new page as well if you wanted to. There's so much you can do. So, all right, I wanted to get this out there so that you folks sort of understand how I'm using the Remarkable Paper Pro, because maybe it applies to you as well. Something else that they sent me is this keyboard case. And when I first saw this keyboard case, I thought, hey, super cool. They sent me a separate case that's made out of a different material. I actually really like this. Oh, I love that. But that's not exactly what this is. This is a keyboard case with the best keyboard design I've ever seen. That is straight up the best. Number one, it rocks. Now I tested it to make sure that it works. So you can type now with your Remarkable. That's the purpose of this. But man, I'm more blown away that companies like Logitech haven't thought about this already. What a beautiful design. It's freaking awesome. I love it. And it has the clasp as well, but it's not, there it is. There, it's got the clasp too. So if you wanted to, you could use this as your case, and then you've got a hidden keyboard to access too. But I haven't used this in the real world just for testing, so I'm not ready to comment on it. All right, so between the two, like I said, if you're a sales professional and you're taking notes across multiple accounts about different people, different parts of your sales process, you've got your research on one hand, and you've got your actual sales meetings you want to take notes on the other. If you can afford it, get off of paper and get onto either one of these. Now, again, the reason I recommend the Paper Pro, it's $200 more. Hey, it's not that much in the broad scheme of things. You get an overall, you get color, you get a backlight. So when you're on a plane, that's super helpful. And you also get, I mentioned the color, it's very important to me. And you get the backlighting, and it's bigger. And I think a bigger display, I wouldn't go much bigger than this, is going to be helpful. But that doesn't discount anything about this, guys. It's still really good. Oh, this is the thing I want to mention. It's faster. The latency is lower, and the overall, moving from notebook to notebook, the keyboard refreshing if you need to type something in is so much faster on this. Okay, that's it. That's what I have for you. So I'll continue to use this and give you some additional feedback. So far, I love it. This was great for my business trip. Okay, thanks everyone. Cheers.